find this place or we'll be late.
Make a left on Astrology Avenue. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant right. It should be right here at 444 Spirit Way. Oh, turn!
It looks like Renee. Yay, we're on time.
The James and Kelly Show.
Great, let's start the show.
Hey, Kelly, we got to change that animation. Haven't we found that building yet?
No, with us, we're probably still lost. I think we should do one where we're floating from heaven that we come in.
I think we will work on. Yes, we will do that. That'll be the next idea. We'll do one.
I think that would be a wonderful thing.
It's
I'm really well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing just great. I feel spring is in the air.
Oh.
I've gotten a good sleep. I go to sleep at 8:30 and get up at 6:30 every night.
Oh my gosh!
My
Wow, what a new schedule.
I'm a night owl, so it's a big change.
I know.
So, no, it's
Right?
good. Things are good, and I'm busy with a cruise. You know, my Alaskan cruise is cruising up, and people are
So excited about that. I can't wait.
Growing, and each day I'm telling you a little bit more about it. And I'm doing my 28 Days of Love on Facebook every day.
Fun.
So fun.
How
And
great is that? And tomorrow's Valentine's Day.
tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Love. It's love. Yeah, I'll be doing a lot of specials tomorrow on Love Day.
Oh,
And
good.
giving away a lot of stuff too, and doing that. So
Fabulous.
how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I watched the Super Bowl. I had a lot of fun with
Oh,
that.
how was? I didn't watch the Super Bowl. Tell me about it.
It was really fun. I don't know football. I could care less, but I like watching the Super Bowl, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It's good. And who won? Is there a number? Is there
The Chiefs. The Chiefs.
Kansas City?
Yes.
I got that.
I actually forgot.
And you remember the score? I take it, which is fun.
No, that's a stretch.
And what about the? Of course, I'd say how were the uniforms, but how was halftime? Was a big. It's always a big deal.
It was a big deal. It was with Rihanna, and apparently she's going to have a baby, so that was exciting.
People told me it's at the dog park. It was Rihanna. Okay.
Yeah, it was, and she was good. She was really good. Yeah,
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
it
Did
was
you
fun.
see the Grammy Awards?
I did watch the Grammys.
watched
That was
the
a couple
hip-hop
weeks
part.
ago, I think.
I didn't see the hip-hop
Part
part.
of it I kind of liked a lot.
Yeah, I would have liked to see that. I know Queen Latifah. I know a couple of those people. I did readings for several of those people.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, there you go. And I didn't see it, so it'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, Melanie says Rihanna stole the show. She was really good. Oh my gosh, everybody from we've got Cheryl from New Mexico.
38
a lot of
Chiefs. Wow, thank you. That was a close game, Carol.
It was a close game.
Another
Oh my
commercial with J-Lo and Ben Affleck. Was there a good commercial?
Oh yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, the Dunkin' Donuts coffee. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
You know, that little problem with her and him at the Grammys. You know about that. It's social.
Oh,
media.
it was hysterical when I was watching that.
I met them in person. You know, I went.
No, what was that like?
When they first were together. I was
Okay.
up front in Beverly Hills for dinner, meeting a friend, and they came right behind me. And I sat down, and then the maitre d' sat them right down next to us. We smiled, and within 5 minutes, they were off to another table, all the way in the back of the corner, of course. And just because I'm just me, I was just noting that the whole time he was on his phone, Ben, and she was on her phone the entire time. And then when we left, my friend and I left, and we waited for the valet, and they were right before us again. And they went first, and out of nowhere, paparazzi like crazy.
Yeah, I bet.
Hood of the car, but I'm like, what? And they were like crazy. And they left. I'm like, wow. And then they drove away, and the paparazzi scattered. And I walked out and said, here I am. Oh, I'm here. I'm free.
It's shocking, isn't it, to see all of that?
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy.
They used to stake out at our building.
That's insane.
And it was Shirley and I'd walk out, and oh boy, it was rough.
That's insane.
Yeah, we had special doors for people to go in to our office because of it. Yeah, and then special doors to leave. Oh, it was awful.
Invading your private space is like
Totally.
wow.
Totally. We had clients that were pretty well known, very well known, and they would say, you have to sign these agreements. And Shirley and I, agreements to see them. It was kind of wild, James. The whole thing was just unbelievable. Yeah, when you're dealing with that type, makes it rough.
What's going on astrologically? Because tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so we know.
So absolutely, we have a couple of really, really interesting things. So let's talk about Valentine's Day, because this energy for Valentine's Day, it's and I'm talking Vedic astrology, everybody. Venus, the planet of love, is exalted. And what does that mean? It's exalted in Pisces, which means it's considered at its highest vibration. And so if you are considering being in a relationship right now, this is the perfect time. And this goes for about a month. It's a perfect time if you are even thinking about being in a relationship. And by the same token, if you are in a relationship, it should make you a little closer to your partner. It's a very highly aspected time for Venus. And it's also great for, if you don't have a partner, it's great for self-worth, self-care, feeling good within yourself. So it's a really special, special Valentine's Day, this particular
because it's
one.
exalted in Venus and Pisces, would that also mean that maybe more of a dream life? People would have more of dreams or
Oh, absolutely. And another thing, here's what I believe. I believe because of this exaltation that we will see a lot of babies being born by the end of the year or beginning of next year, because relationships will develop. I feel it's very powerful actually to bring new souls in, because at the same time, Saturn has moved into Aquarius in Vedic astrology. That changes the game of everything. It changes the vibration. And I know that we have talked about, how this kind of crazy world that we live in with all these different things. I think it has a lot to do with the Saturn changing vibrations. I do. I think it has a lot to do with it.
Right, Saturn's going into Aquarius.
In Vedic astrology, it's in Aquarius, and that makes
sign Aquarius very mental.
Yes, very mental, and it brings. Ultimately, it brings amazing new forms of healing and new technology. But currently,
wait, Kelly, if used for the highest principles of Aquarius.
Yes.
So if used the highest elements of that sign, like healing, invention, scientific methods, great. But also can be used to overthink things and jump into things. And
and so the energy is going to feel a little wonky. But on top of that, today of all days, the sun, again, Vedic astrology, the sun transitioned into Aquarius. So if your birthday is today, February 14th till March 14th, I know you're thinking you're not, but the sun is actually in Aquarius in Vedic astrology. So you would be considered an Aquarius. But this transit for the next 5 or 6 days is pretty intense because of one thing. Saturn is also, where the sun goes into Aquarius, Saturn is also combust the sun, which means it's too close to the sun. And when Saturn is too close to the sun, it makes people very negative. So here's my thought. If you were to get into a relationship, let's say you go out and this Venus is really getting you going, I want to go out, I want to meet somebody, you'll probably bring towards you a karmic relationship. So there would be, because of Saturn, you'd probably be some karma here going on in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. Astrologically, a lot.
Wow. Well, I've noticed a lot more crazy people than usual.
Have you noticed that too?
Yeah. That. I mean, and I'm going to talk about difficult people, but it's, some really outbursts. And I was telling you before about really horrible incident where I used to live in Laguna Beach. There was a cyclist and he was riding his bike and some guy just came and hit him and knocked him off the bike, parked his car, came out and stabbed him 9 times and he died. And the guy
awful.
was the doctor at the local hospital and the driver didn't even know him.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Road rage.
Road rage.
Wow. Really. So it's not about difficult people and how to deal with them. Yes.
And we have a wonderful expert.
Yes, Kelly, tell us.
I'm going to tell you about, we have a great guest. It's Dr. Shirley Impellizzeri. And Shirley, I've known Shirley for 30 years. And James, you've known her for at least the last 20. Yeah. And Shirley and I used to have a show together called Both Sides Now. And James, then she left, and now James and I do Both Sides Now and Beyond.
But Shirley.
And Shirley's a psychologist. She has her PhD from UCLA. She specializes in trauma. And we're going to talk about personalities. We're going to talk about difficult people. And so let's welcome Dr. Shirley Impellizzeri. Hi, Cheryl.
Shirley, welcome. Come on through.
Come on, Cheryl. You can do it. I don't know what happened.
Franco says, I feel a lot of energy in the atmosphere. I do too. A lot of it. Joni, my cousin was killed in a collision from the road rage.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
That's negativity. I don't know where Shirley went, but.
Well, she'll get him when she gets here.
Okay.
So, Kelly, astrologically, the crazy energy we're having right now, is it that Saturn
It's that. I think it's a combination of things. It's a combination of
Where's
Saturn.
Jupiter right now?
Where's what?
Jupiter.
Jupiter is still in Pisces, and it doesn't transition. It doesn't change its sign until April, about April 15th.
So again,
But
too, that could be dreamlike, more
it
dreams.
could be dreamlike. Yeah. I mean, we're making some big changes in the planets in the next month or two again. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of change.
You're making Turkey. I mean, hello.
Oh my gosh, James! I think it was over 35,000 that were killed.
Sure, I'm sure.
Isn't that just awful, right?
It's almost like Mother Earth just burping up, getting that energy out.
Right.
I think if we look at everything as energy, it's like she's got to clean things out. And I don't think Turkey and Syria is going to be the only place. So there'll be many more happening. I think North Japan. I do think in Europe and Germany somewhere. I just think things are going to happen left and right. I think we're going to see things much faster than usual.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
I am with you on that one. Well, I'm not sure where Shirley is, but I know we're going to be talking. A lot of negativity. That's true.
What have you
So
done?
there she is.
Hey!
We did where you went.
I know. I was going, oh my God, am I supposed to find a way to get in there? What am I supposed to do? So I started to touch a whole bunch of buttons.
Just scroll on through.
I just decided to be late. Whatever. I am so happy to be here, you guys.
Hey, Shirley,
Yay.
great to see you. Great to see you.
James, I heard what I was just thinking about it today. 8:30 to 6:30. I was a huge night owl, and all of a sudden my system has shifted, and now I go to bed early and wake up early, and I'm like, what the hell? Who am I? What's wrong with me?
Right? It's
So you're going
weird,
through it
isn't it?
too.
Well, since my puppy I've had, so I have to. That's her schedule.
Oh,
And
okay. You're
it's
adjusting to
forcing
somebody
me to
else's
get up that early, and I do not like it because it goes totally against my nature. But
Me
you
too.
got to do what you got to do. Extra
but-
product coffee. I don't know.
Well, I'm not doing it for any other reason than it just seems like my biological clock is shifting for some
That's
reason.
good.
Yeah.
I think it must happen with hormones as you get older. I'm sure it has to happen. Different
Thank
types.
you for bringing that up, James.
Well, I mean, listen. Hello.
When-
Days going on different, going lower, up, right.
Kelly, when you were talking about people are going to have babies, I'm like, no more oven.
No.
Oven's done. Can't do it.
It's a fantasy.
Oh,
I'm
Shirley, I'm
so
glad
happy to
you're
be
here.
So,
So-
Shirley, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why do you think there's so much craziness right now on the planet?
Well,
I know it's a big question, does it?
yeah,
is.
I mean, from a psychological standpoint, there's that kind of copycat syndrome that happens when one does it. Then one would think that it would horrify everybody and people wouldn't do it, but it almost gives them permission. So if someone already had that idea or had the rage that they don't know how to control or haven't worked through, then it kind of almost gives them permission to do it. That's why we see so many happen at all at once, right?
And when I studied psychology in school, I remember they talked about copycats. They talked about like social media, or when you see it on television, they become stars, and they think, they're in the center of attention at that moment. I think part of that's in there too.
Yeah, part of that's in there too. But we've just been seeing so much of it.
And since COVID is over, I think since COVID started, I've been watching it so bad. I know you guys it's really bad, and when I'm really bored, I've been watching some YouTube with these people that freak out on airplanes, and I'm like, thank God I didn't have to deal with that. But these people are cray.
Oh, yeah.
Freak out how
Oh, you haven't seen any of those big
and
people
it's
start
nice.
going crazy on an airplane. Yeah.
But is that because they get anxious on an airplane, or is that because of the COVID not wanting to wear a mask and that
I
kind of
think
stuff?
they just get angry.
It's angry. It's
Oh.
what it can do. It's control issues. It's entitlement. A lot of it's entitlements. I mean, I bought this seat. I'm not moving. Yet you're causing problem for everybody around you.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't see that. So
I think people in general are so much more on edge. And unless you know and you've tuned in and you've, learn how to regulate yourself, you're just on edge. So if you were operating here and you're operating here, any little thing can take you over the edge.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and would you say that's like you have to have your tools? You have to have a good
Yeah.
set of tools.
Yeah.
And what kind of tools would that be to regulate yourself?
Well, it really is to tune into your body,
yeah.
And notice, because your body, research shows that your body reacts like a split second before your mind knows what's going on. And so your body will tell you, if your tummy all of a sudden feels tight or your chest feels tight, that lets you know, something just happened that either triggered me or I'm reacting to, or I feel there's danger. And so that will always tell you. And that split second then allows you to choose a response. Either, okay, let me get out of this area, or let me, this person's driving me nuts, but let me ground myself and take deep breaths. So, I don't say anything.
So we consider that the body is a tuning fork of intuition, right?
Okay. I got to write that down.
That
That was so beautifully said. The
But
body,
that makes sense, right? The tuning fork.
totally. The body is the tuning fork. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
And
it's
believe
energy. It's reading that energy, and sometimes people energy. I think they see energy and they think they internalize it as their own when it's really not. But they don't know that it's. Kelly, have you run into that? Where the concern between whose energy it is?
Yeah, especially when you're an empath.
An
You
empath.
don't know. Yeah, you don't know whose energy you're picking up, your own or whatever. I always have to ask myself, is it me? Is it somebody else? What's going on?
Yeah.
And especially, Shirley, when you're around difficult people.
Yes, especially. It's so funny. Client came in asking me, I'm having a feeling about this person that's kind of an acquaintance, not really a friend, but, becoming more friendly. And I want to make sure that I'm just not judging this person. And she started to tell me stuff. She goes, but I get such an intuitive feeling to stay away. And everything that she told me, I started to feel it. And I said, absolutely trust your intuition.
Yeah.
And there was just something, that just some little things that didn't make sense. And we tend to not want to feel like we're judging people, but you really have to trust your intuition.
Yeah. It's that feeling that we're given. It's an instinct that we're born with. Use that instinct. It's not necessarily in the head. It's in the heart. It's the instinctiveness. It's that, because like primitive days. I mean, it's part of who we are.
And it's so important to get connected. I mean, I was so disconnected from my body, coming from neglect and you dissociate. So you're completely disconnected. But that connection is so important. The first thing was when I first learned it, studying somatic experiencing in 2008, but just even noticing your feet on the ground.
Okay.
You don't think about it all the time, but the moment you say, okay, my feet on the ground, all of a sudden you feel them and then you connect. Yoga is a wonderful tool, talking about tools that helps connect you with the body. Even if you don't necessarily like yoga, it does really help connect you with the body.
So body grounding. And what a third one would you say? I'm going to throw this in there. What about awareness or objectivity? Just observing what's going on, not being sucked into it, but observing. Would that be a tool?
Absolutely. Absolutely. To notice what's going on and get a sense of how you feel. I'll never forget. Remember that parking garage, Kel, on South Beverly? Mm-hmm. And one time I was getting out of my car and there was this guy just parked kind of coming behind me. And there's something that I felt, and I just opened the door and I ran down the stairs because I was like on the third floor. And he all of a sudden started running behind me, following me. And so then I came out of like the first floor and you can already see people. It wasn't and I pretended I was on the phone or looking and I go, hey, how's it going? And then he took a few steps back, got back in and took off. I don't know how, because I'm not a scary person usually. I don't know how I picked up on that something was going to happen, but I was on the 5th floor and there was nobody else around. So you have to trust your intuition. Even if you're wrong, it's better to trust it than to not trust it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more you use it, the more stronger it gets. Too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Wow. So Shirley, let's talk about difficult people. Like, what kinds of difficult people are there out there?
Well,
in my most
professional expression,
yes,
there's a shit ton.
Right. I know.
That's good, Jeff.
But it's all on a continuum. I mean, it's the garden variety difficult people that I think we're going to talk more, and then the more I guess we can say pathological ones that are more the personality disorders that you and I are going to do.
Are they mental conditions with those people, or is it also emotional?
A personality disorder is a disorder of someone's personality. So that means that it's a disorder of kind of their makeup of who they are. So because it's their personality, they don't know they have it. They're like, I'm fine. It's your problem.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And they blame everybody else.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's different than a mental illness. We consider, which we shouldn't use that word anymore, a mental illness like, bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety. So those don't feel good and we want to do something about it. But that's different. That's more of a like chemical imbalance in your brain.
And there's medication for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Personality, it's who I am. It's my personality. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
If you've got a problem with it, then that's you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it so difficult, because most of the time there's no awareness, and without it, you can't change anything you're not aware of.
Right.
You know, so we're going to get more into that, Kel, when we do our.
On February 25th, we're going to be talking about narcissists, surviving a narcissist.
Anyone knows a narcissist in their life?
Oh my God.
We only have an hour show.
It's exactly.
I know, right? Yeah.
Oh my God. But Shirley and I and James, you're going to be taking the class too.
They're doing levels of narcissism too. You'll talk about that.
Oh,
yeah,
different
because they're on a
types of
continuum.
narcissists. They're on a continuum. We'll get into borderline, sociopath.
We'll
We'll hit it all.
A visual aid too. So.
Yes, we will have that. Absolutely. And we're going to have really good stories about each one.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've
definitely
experienced it all.
Oh my God. I say we're the Jane Goodall of personality disorders, right? Because we've lived amongst them. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Between you two, you worked like what, 50 years, 60 years between two
together.
of you?
Yeah. And if you add my mom to that, because Shirley was my mom's psych assistant.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was Shirley's psych assistant. Yeah.
I just saw her mother and father behind her before.
I said, James, we're getting on. James goes, I have to tell you something. Your mother and father.
I know.
What?
I heard you say that, and I went, "Oh, Lou."
I just say what I say.
Probably because I'm going to New York. That's probably
that's
why.
Right.
That's why you saw her, James.
Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But definitely, I mean, there are very real tools to work with all difficult people, which we'll get into today, but specifically narcissists.
Those three, you mentioned the body, knowing your body, the grounding, and the observation. I mean, those are fantastic. And how does that get into, you talked about a little bit earlier, non-judgment? Because a lot of our reaction wants to be, I'm going to judge that person, because if we judge someone else, we feel better then. So we have to really not be able to judge them. We can observe them, right? But we don't want to judge those people.
No.
So it's a little weird there, right? Because you got to be observant of who they are and their behaviors. But like, can you judge them? Just say, well, that's the way they are. And it is what it is.
Well, I think at that point, you actually have to look at yourself first, don't you, Shirley? I mean, and say, what is going on here? I mean, literally look at yourself.
Well,
am I being this or am I being that?
Yeah. I mean, if you're with someone like that, then it's always an important step. What about me?
Right.
Chooses someone like this or wants to be with someone like this. But also, there's also that piece, might I be contributing to this? There's also a very important piece, not to blame yourself, but to always look at that piece. And sometimes it's just to know that this is who they are. And so then you really have to do a lot of, self-care and boundaries. And, if you have to engage with them on a daily basis, I always say, know your audience and speak their language. Right. So if it's someone who, is a victim, or views the world through the lens of a victim, or Debbie Downer, and they're always kind of pulling at your energy, right? To know that about them, not again to go with you, James, as a judgment, but just kind of as a fact.
Energetically, that's if you want to be around that energy, fine. If not, bye, because I don't have time for it. Life is
exactly. Or talk to them, even if it's a parent, talk to them only when you're strong enough to to enter that energy, that energetic space.
Something else really I wanted to talk about, which Kelly taught me many years ago, and I say it every week, but she taught me this, which really has helped me. She said, James, don't expect that from that person, because they're limited. They don't know any better. Yeah. And a lot of these people, they have no clue. They're like third grade level with people when they were seventh grade, and they're at third grade. Who we judge, because that's all they know. That's
exactly.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Kat.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the biggest mistakes we make is to expect people to act like we think they should act. Yeah. Right. And we need to expect people to act the way they've shown up.
And also, Shirley, I mean, it's so interesting, because I tell people, when you meet somebody, you're not only meeting them, you're meeting all of their experiences from behind you, mean their family and their friends. Yeah. It's like a moving van that you're meeting there.
So true.
They are today, right? That made them who they are.
Yeah.
And let's talk about when people have a trouble with conflict, Shirley. They have a fear of, if they, if there's a difficult person in their life, how do they deal with that person? Because they're afraid of that they will create conflict. And people are afraid of conflict. Yeah.
Well, if you come from a very if there's a lot of chaos in your family or a lot of fighting, then you want to avoid conflict at all costs. But you're also then doing it at your own expense.
Exactly.
So when someone does something that hurt your feelings, to be able to say, wow, what you just did hurt my feelings, or that made me feel like you didn't, whatever it may be. Some people won't say anything because they want to avoid conflict, but then the person keeps doing it over and over again.
A soul that comes, somebody that comes into your life, and if they're pushing all your buttons, I mean, you really do have to start to establish boundaries. You have to start to stand up for yourself, and you have to learn to deal with conflict. I think conflict is part of the nature of being on earth at this time.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
have to understand yourself and understand how you deal with conflict. And you learn a lot about, and it gives the other person possibly an opportunity also to make a change in the relationship. Because I've had difficult people in my life that, ironically, through some form of conflict and resolution and coming back together, we've actually been able to be good friends. So I know it's possible.
Yeah, that's just it.
Not with everybody, not with a personality disorder.
Yeah, those are separate. But you're absolutely right, because sometimes we avoid conflict, but then we're really cheating the other person out of maybe stepping up to their highest potential, because we want to avoid conflict.
And our highest
I don't want to say
potential.
anything. And ours as well, too. Yeah, yeah. So it's not always and conflict doesn't have to be, yelling and chaos. And it could just be really stating what,
your
how
needs,
the person made you feel, or your needs.
Exactly.
Yeah. And how I was just going to say that if you do it in a way where, I always say, your side of the street is clean, you do it in a kind, compassionate way, how they respond to it is absolutely their stuff, and that gives you more information about them. Is this someone that I want in my life? How close do I want this person in my life?
Right.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, are there people that, I don't know, they have a projection, they project what they want on that, they meet somebody and they think a certain thing, like for me, for instance, people think about me being a celebrity, but I'm really not. And it's like their stuff and they project on other people. So when people meet people, they tend to sometimes project their own stuff on that, what they want that person to be, or.
They do. I mean, it happens a lot in relationships, everything that we haven't resolved from our own, relationship gets projected onto our significant other. I mean, it just happens. And celebrities is a big thing. I have, some of my clients tell me stories that they'll be walking down the street and someone will go, "Hey," and they'll say their name, "Fuck you," and what did I do? I'm just at a bar mitzvah.
Oh, yeah. Or the other one is that you'll say, "Hi," as if they know you.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of, because you see them maybe in your living room every week, or now downloaded for 8 hours, right? With we used to have to wait a week for the next episode, but now you can watch everything all at once, right? So you do kind of feel that you know them, but I think that's part of what comes with that profession, and you have to be a little bit more tolerant.
And between the two of you, how much of this do you think is inherited, and how much is learned or gathered as you live your life?
What part?
Behave with difficult people, like in your makeup, your heredity. Is there some some inherent qualities that you're open to conflict more than others, or is it something you learn, or is it a little bit of both?
I think it's something, probably both, but you learn from families. So if, like, my family was all conflict oriented, they would just, and I know other families that you don't say a word.
Yeah.
You keep it in, you don't say a word.
Yeah.
And I would walk into these families and I'd be like, oh, we don't talk. Okay. I forgot. I didn't know the rules. I didn't read. But what do you think, Shirley?
That was more mine.
Yeah, yours was kind of quiet,
I had
right?
One therapist that described, you lived in an emotional desert. And I went, oh, what a great way of saying it. But it is. And so what happens is many times, the brain likes what's familiar, even if what's familiar isn't the best thing for you, but it feels safer because I know how to anticipate, like I know how to live in chaos. I know how to anticipate it. It feels safe because I know it.
Right.
And so many times we'll attract people in our lives of stuff that has been familiar when they're not, in our best interest. So that we have to be careful about too.
Yeah. So tell us the different types of difficult people. I know we talked about it earlier. You said you have
like the passive aggressive.
Passive aggressive
is kind of, I think, the worst, because they're not in touch with their feelings and they're very afraid of anger. And so many people are afraid of anger. It's almost like a 4-letter word. And anger is life force. If we weren't able to get angry, we weren't able in the caveman days to, stop that animal from charging us. You have to get angry to protect yourself. And it's just become such a bad name because we mix the emotion of anger with the behavior of anger. And those are two very different things. The emotion of anger, I can be unbelievably angry right now and you might never know it, because I don't want to show it, as an example. how we behave is very different. So there are many people that are uncomfortable with anger, so they never get angry. But they'll do things because anger is energy, like every other emotion. You can't get rid of it, even if you ignore it. That I'll do things that just kind of, like I always give the example of, I can't stand this person, but I bake a cake for their birthday to show how lovely it is. But I bake chocolate knowing they hate chocolate. But oh my God, I forgot. I forgot that you hate chocolate. I thought you loved chocolate. That would be like a passive aggressive move,
Totally.
right?
Such a good one. Wow.
Right?
And if they put nuts in and you're allergic to nuts, that's really
then
bad.
They're really mad. They want to kill you.
I actually had a client whose husband was having an affair. He was alcoholic, and the woman that he had the affair with just kept feeding him alcohol cake.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So then he became an alcoholic again. Yeah, that was really sad.
wow.
pretty
That's,
bad.
that's
But-
a great example of passive aggressive. Okay,
Yeah.
that's number one.
Yeah.
I'm making notes.
So it's really hard because the truth is that they're not fully aware of it. So when you point it out to them, they can go, "No, I didn't mean that at all." And they really, at times, it's not because they're not fully aware of it.
Sometimes they
Otherwise
are,
they-
sometimes they're not.
Yeah. For the most part, I found that they're not. Otherwise they'd be sociopaths because they'd be calculating.
Yeah,
How am I going
that's
to?
true.
So they're not really aware of their anger, but it shows up. But if you bring it up, they're saying no, and so you kind of look like the crazy one. That's at the core.
Several times.
Yeah, yeah. So you have a big reaction to it, and they're looking at you going, "What?"
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Cheryl. Where does this cut? Where does the aggressive, like how a person says some mean things, like they just say mean things, and they're trying to be funny, but they're mean. What would you call
sarcasm.
that?
There's a lot of There's
Yeah.
a lot of hostility under sarcasm.
I
That's
agree.
another person that maybe isn't comfortable saying, "Wow, what you just said really hurt my feelings." So instead, I'm going to say something really sarcastic back that really gets you, or that hits below the belt.
Well, what
kind
about
of
if it's
thing.
someone that you just met at a restaurant and they're sitting there and they're
Yes.
nasty to you? Like, one guy just had a dinner with someone or lunch with some people, and he didn't believe what I did. He made some weird gesture about something. Like, where is that coming from? He doesn't even know me. But it was a sarcasm. It was a biting.
I don't like that. I don't like
they
it.
just-
Yeah.
It's so hostile. I don't like it. And it's passive aggressive.
very
And sometimes
hostile.
it's just aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, and it could be couched very
Mean-spirited. I
sugary.
don't like it.
Spirited.
It could be
It's
that
wrong.
he had a bad experience, with someone, or he doesn't,
Doesn't believe in what I do.
doesn't believe in you. There's no reason to be mean about it. I mean, you guys aren't running around trying to convince people, So there's no reason to. It could be part of personality. A lot of times it's unresolved, trauma. I mean, we're not born that way. We might have a genetic predisposition to things, but truly the love and nurturing you get in your home decides whether that gene gets expressed or stays dormant. So we're truly not born that way. So if someone is like that, I just, the older I get, they fall into, life's too short. And I just
Totally,
don't want to
Shirley.
be around people like that
Yeah.
anymore. I just
And
don't.
I send them love. I just give them love.
Yeah,
I feel sorry for them. I'm empath. I just give them love. I've met people, I just look at them and all of a sudden I start crying because they have no clue about who they are and they don't love themselves. It's like, oh my God. And I just send love because it's not my stuff. We have to realize it's not our stuff. And what's coming up a lot lately is you can't save people from their journey. They got to go on their journey in their own way. Right, Kelly? We talk about that.
We talk about this every day.
I want to help them, but we can only do so much, right?
And everybody will have those troubling times and relationships and all kinds of things that they have to go inward and do their work with a therapist or with something. They need to do their own work because it makes we can't do it for them, James. So we could certainly give them all the information in the world and all the tools. Ultimately, they have to do it themselves.
I'm glad that you're saying that. You're both saying that because sometimes, I have to remind myself that people are on their own journey and I have to take a step back.
Exactly.
Oh, Surely, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
I think I do that because the shows and I meet people and every day that's their journey. I can't give them seed, but that's their journey.
Yeah. But with difficult people also, especially if there's someone in your life that you can't really avoid, like maybe at work or even a relative or something, is to be curious as to why they're like that. And so then it kind of softens it.
So would you say to the difficult person that you're working, why are you like that?
Why are you such a jerk? No, for yourself.
Oh, okay.
Because it's very hard to have to deal with someone who's difficult and if you have to deal with them ongoing, like at work or a relative or something like that, to be curious. And that sometimes can soften how it lands on you, and it's still going to be hard, difficult
So when you
to deal with. But
to be curious, like I'm wondering if they went through a lot of trauma in their life.
yeah, I wonder what they went through.
Wonder what they went through.
Yeah. And then really, either prepare yourself mentally before you deal with them, because what you're up against for the most part. Set boundaries. I mean, boundaries is a big one.
It's a big one.
And
My
yeah,
God. Saves lives. It really does.
it really does. And sometimes, I view people like that in our lives as to give you an opportunity to practice something that isn't easy, like setting a boundary, or like conflict. If conflict isn't easy, they're there. I view those people as there to, help me or help the people that I work with, to give them opportunities to practice difficult, things that are difficult.
That our families that we're born into are our greatest teachers.
Yeah.
Because
sure.
we're connected to them. So if something within them makes you angry, what within yourself are you not whole with that you have to look at that you're still angry?
Yeah.
Families, great teachers.
Oh, so true. Talk to us about negative people, Shirley. Like negative people. Like if you've got a real negative person in your life.
What looks at life like that? There's always pessimism.
Well, yeah. I mean, that is so difficult because it really kind of brings the energy down.
Right.
It can really make the energy toxic. And so either that's what they heard, so it's role model behavior, or they've just had a lot of, hurtful things that have happened to them, and they've just see the world through those glasses of just always like the half empty cup versus the half full cup. And I try to shift it just a little bit if I can, so they'll say something that you hear about, I don't know, something negative. And then I'll say, yeah. And did you also hear about that woman that helped the other woman? So I'll try to just, because that at the very least, that kind of balance the energy, because it's hard to always hear everything negative.
I think there are studies done that one negative comment takes 20 positive comments to erase that one negative comment. 20
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I heard that from a study that was done.
Wow.
A couple of great insights or questions people asking you guys. This is from Brenda. How do you decide what boundaries to set?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, it depends. Boundaries don't have to always be told. So if someone, if you share with someone, I'm going to be doing this, show for the next hour, and someone calls me, well, then I just don't answer the phone. Or if you say I'm going to take a nap, or I'm going to be sleeping, or I'm going to go, and people call you anyways, maybe they forgot, right? But I just won't answer the phone at that time. And so that's a boundary that I'm setting for myself. Or you can share with them and say, it depends on what you want the scenario is, but if it affects you, and if it crosses your own boundaries,
and if it's taking energy from you,
then that's how you need to set a boundary.
If it makes you feel negative or angry, then that's
exactly bad or
boundary line.
Okay. If someone wants you to do something right away, and you say, okay, I can't do it today, but I can get to it tomorrow.
Right.
That's an example of a boundary. Yeah.
So Kyle Hodges says, I bottle up my emotions. It usually shows in my face, but I never confront the difficult human I'm having trouble with. Why is that? Am I a pushover? Because you don't like conflict, Kyle.
Yeah. My first question would be, why, to yourself? Why is it that I don't have? Is it because I didn't see my parents do it? Is it because, one of my parents did it too much and I want to be the furthest away from that person? Sometimes we go the exact opposite, and there's so much gray in the middle, that we can choose to be. So, well,
maybe it wasn't safe when you were younger to actually talk about your emotions. Maybe in your family system, you didn't do that. But I'm glad you're thinking about it now, because as Shirley has pointed out, it's going to be in that body. It's going to show up in your face. It's going to show up somewhere. Some people get cancer. Some people, it does show up. The emotions don't go away.
Yeah.
If you've got a problem with anything, it really holds things within, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I find, sometimes we don't think about the simplest thing, but I'll say, if somebody said something, I'll go, wow, that felt mean. That kind of hurt my feelings. And it completely disarms the other person.
Really? You say that, Shirley? You'd say that?
Oh, yeah. I've done it. I've done it. Or when like when someone passes and I don't know what to say, we have this big, to just listen, I just want to hold the space for your sadness right now, or even say, listen, I don't know what to say that's going to help you. How can I best help you?
Right.
Just the most simplest thing, because we go through this, oh my God, what do I say? And then I just say, I don't know what to say right now, but I want to be here for you.
That's great.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. If someone hurts your feelings, it makes me, I've said this to someone, it makes me feel like I don't really want to talk to you, because when we talk, almost always you say something that hurts my feelings, and I'm curious why. Did I do something to upset you, or can we talk about it? It completely disarms the situation.
And then I run into people that don't, like you said earlier, they don't know they did anything wrong. You know what I mean? Like, well,
and that puts it in another category, because now you're talking about personality disorders, and with a borderline or with a narcissist, they're not the problem. I mean, clearly they will go like this. They're not the problem.
They truly have no clue, but you also have to do it because it's the tone of voice. It has to be done in a tone of voice where, where there's no anger, there's no accusation.
There's an art to it. There's an art to it.
You can't do it when you're feeling it. You have to do it when yeah.
That's great, though, Shirley. Really great.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, here's a question. This is from Judy Truitt. She says, I was married to a passive aggressive man who died from cancer. So she said, I read Dr. Gabor Mate, about pleasing behavior with regard to cancer. Does he talk? Are you familiar with that? I know who he is, Gabor Mate.
I'm familiar with him. I'm not familiar with pleasing behaviors that,
when you're pleasing behavior often can lead to passive aggressiveness. If you are a pleaser and you really don't want to be, but you just are, were trained to be, or just did it to keep yourself safe, the opposite of that could be passive aggressive.
Well, because it makes you angry, because it's never about you.
Yeah, and you're not authentic.
It's not truth. It's not truth.
Yeah. So you really have to, we have in our society, and I know that it's been taught that if we think about ourselves, it's selfish. And we absolutely have to include ourselves in the equation. When we think about others, we need to include ourselves, because otherwise we can get angry, or we can get passive aggressive, or we can get, because we're not taking care of our own needs.
Yeah.
Do we notice more of it nowadays because of COVID, or the end of COVID, or people acting out, or is it just the way things are now? Is that the new norm, or I don't know. What do you think, Kelly?
Yeah.
I think COVID did a lot of damage to a lot of things.
Yeah. Shirley, has it changed your clientele? I mean, the types of clients that you have, that you work with, or situations, have they intensified or about the same?
I've never been busier since COVID. So definitely, anxieties were up, and I think there wasn't as many distractions. So people couldn't help but sit in their own stuff, and felt so uncomfortable that then they wanted to seek help and talk about it. So I think on the other end of it, while we also see, more incidences of violence, we'll also see kind of a healthy wave, an emotionally healthier wave, because people are more, every therapist that I know is fully booked. So more people are actually, are actually working through some of their pain, because there was nothing else to do. Yeah. Wow. But it's causing a lot of people to act out as well.
Yeah.
If somebody's looking for a therapist, I always refer everybody to traumahealing.org for somatic work. But I know they've been very full.
They've been really full.
And then I've been sending them to Psychology Today. If you go to psychologytoday.com, and usually you can find somebody there. And I've also been sending them to look for graduate schools. If you don't have a lot of money and you need a therapist, graduate schools in all states have departments that they need patients. They need clients. So
yeah, I think those are great ideas. There's also a few online, and I don't remember the name. Maybe Renee can research it while we're talking. That do therapy, teletherapy online.
What do you think of teletherapy?
There's a few apps.
I do telemediumship, but so I know you and Gordon are going to be talking about modern mediumship, Jay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, what do you think about telepath?
Especially with my, my somatic colleagues, we didn't think it was going to work as well as it does. But you can still see the expression on the face. I can still see shoulders if they're up, calm
I
down.
think people are paying more attention to you because they're trying to see this through the camera. So in a way, they're kind of really paying more attention to you than they would sitting in a room looking around. Maybe that's part of it.
Could be, or I find it a little bit more distracting. I really prefer the face-to-face, because you're in the energy and stuff. But it's worked really a lot better than we thought it was.
Same with mediumship, right, Kelly? I'd say.
Oh yeah.
I was at first, I was very concerned, but it worked out really well and get people from all over the world too.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. It's almost just normal for me at this point.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
And Margaret says, I love telemedicine. I just don't like the passwords and the emails and the passwords and the portals.
Right.
I mean, my God, I literally went to a medical office and went and met the person at the front desk.
I remember.
I can't get into portals and all that. I just don't do portals.
Yeah.
We did that.
Those kind of portals, right?
So Kate Yanchenko says, how do you deal with loud and obnoxious coworkers? Obnoxious ones.
Yeah. See, I would have a hard time with that.
I would too, Cheryl.
I
I think I'd actually have to say something. I really think I
mean,
would.
again, giving you the
What kind of
opportunity.
childhood did you
They
have?
shock you with what they say too.
Right.
Yeah. It gives you an opportunity to again stand up for yourself, even if they're not going to change. Would you mind speaking a little softer, please, or something like that? To have a voice. Maybe that's what they're there for, is to give you an opportunity to have a voice. There's not much you can do, especially when it comes to work.
Well, and not only that, you really have to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
But
ultimately, asked to be moved to a different, work area at times. I mean, I do some executive coaching, and I've worked with people who've had, in this case, like a borderline or personality disorder as a boss. And ultimately, the best decision for you is to work for somebody else, to move departments. Because if you can't, some people will say, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize I was talking so loud. And some people will say, fuck you, I don't care. So, but it's important to say something, because that gives you the opportunity for a voice, whether or not they change.
But it's so funny because you can have people in the workplace, and I'll talk about this experience because it was one of the most amazing life experiences. And I hired these producers for the TV show Ghost Whisperer that I did, and they weren't working. I hired the husband and wife team. And to make a long story short, after a year of getting the show very successful with public relations with myself and Jennifer Love going out and touring, the show was doing well. The producers wanted to fire me on the budget. It was like, wait a minute!
it's your show.
I hired you. You can't fire me.
God.
Oh my goodness.
CBS came and said, he's not going anywhere, but you might. I was like, and then their mindset, that's their world. And I guess I was in their world, and it's just so weird.
Wow.
I think what you recommend about being curious is so great, because I will do that without even realizing I'm doing it. I'm like, huh? What do you mean by that?
You were born curious, James.
The art of discovery. Like,
It's
what?
totally.
I think, what?
Yeah.
So Mitzi Carruthers, hi Mitzi, and I think Mitzi is in South Africa or
No.
Zimbabwe or something. I can't
cool.
remember, Mitzi, but I know it's one of the two. She says, I'm catching the tail end, looking forward to your webinar. So great, Mitzi's going to be
Thank
taking our
you.
and it's on February 25th, everybody.
Yeah, I want you to go to that. It's going to be really cool
Yeah.
about narcissism. There you
It's
go.
going to be about narcissism. And if you purchase it and you're not able to attend live, we will send you the link once it's filmed. So don't worry about that. She says, I'm especially looking forward to how to help her grandchildren who have apparently a father or something that is a narcissist.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that, how to deal with that specific of your stories.
When it's in family as well.
Yeah, because it's really rough when you have a narcissist or a borderline or a sociopath in the family. It's very rough.
Tough one.
It's a really tough one, really.
Yeah.
So Elle says people get very defensive. She said, this is my selfish side. I don't want to get angry unless, it's useless for me to get angry. But people do get very defensive. I mean, I have discovered that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
They do
Get defensive what, when you try and set a boundary?
Well, probably through anything. If you want to, they may perceive whatever you're going to say as a judgment or
Kelly, could it be control? They want to control the situation.
Absolutely.
They don't want to give away control.
Yeah.
And you're trying to control that space. And you're really not. You're just curious or want to find out something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And Margaret, thank you. I love you. And Margaret's going to go to Alaska with me. Woohoo!
Okay, let's talk about Alaska. Bring your dancing birthday shoes. Oh, let me tell you, Ann Margaret, I've been with James when he's dancing. He starts in the disco and he's the last one in the disco, unless you're talking about my friend Shirley here. Because Shirley too. Because Shirley, how many cruises have you been on with James?
Guilty. 2.
No, 3.
Only 3. Okay.
3. We went to Tahiti.
Mhm.
You did the Caribbean.
The Caribbean.
And you did one other one. Which other one?
Was
I
it
think
Europe
it was-
or Italy or?
I
Italy,
no, I
Europe?
think it was just those 2 because I remember
Oh,
I couldn't go. There was 3
sorry.
others. Couldn't go to Alaska, Australia, or when you went to Europe.
Shocked you to do Alaska. You should go on this one. It's
Oh,
such a great,
yeah.
great
It's going to
trip.
be so
I'm
fun,
thinking
Cheryl.
about it. That would be so fun.
It'll
Oh
be
my
fun.
God.
It's amazing to see that pristine, incredible, part of the planet, which who
Yeah.
knows much longer, But yeah, it's gonna be
True.
Oh,
great.
it's so much fun.
There was right there, Friday the 18th, 25th, my 65th birthday in the middle of it. So I'm going to celebrate.
Oh,
that.
Shirley, you got to come
exciting.
to that.
Wow, wow,
And,
wow.
and Margaret, I look forward to dancing with you, sweetheart. Make sure
Oh, she's going to have so much fun. And James, do you think you're going to do a Facebook page for people that have signed up so they can meet each other and then they can plan things?
it's on my list of
It's
things.
on your list. Okay, because I know Ann Margaret, you had asked about that, and maybe Ann Margaret, you could help with it.
Yeah, Margaret, that'd be great if you want to help make that happen.
Yeah, that way, because I know a lot of people that might be single, they don't know other people, they can get together and choose different things that they'll do together because there's so many.
Should be done beforehand. So that's
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be so fun.
By the way, it's the most popular cruise of the year. The travel guy just called me up. He said August is getting booked fast, and he said that he's done so many cruises. He's all Abraham Hicks cruises around the world, and I've known around 30 years. He goes, he's never seen that month a ship fill up so quickly.
Wow.
That's time to see Alaska. So
Wow.
signing up. So if you're interested, for sure, if you are very interested, you should do it sooner than later because it will go. We just saw the last cab, the outside cabin with a window to a friend.
Oh.
I mean,
Wow.
it's definitely, stepping spirit going to help people learn about the other side, being part of the other side, near to the experiences. We're going to about body experiences. It's be fun. Learn about
Spirit guides.
our spirit guides the first day. Past life work. Yeah, it'd be very transformative. And Kelly will be there.
Oh, I'm going to be there.
I still have the picture of one of the. Yeah, I still have the picture of one of the cruises that we went to after you had done James the meditation and thing with the orbs in the chairs.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah, it still freaks my left brain out.
And then when you see the faces in the orbs, hello.
Oh my. Okay. Nope.
Say that's the last day at the workshop.
You take your camera out and you start taking pictures. It's phenomenal what you see in that room.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. Because we're doing readings. We're going to be doing readings, and the spirits are there. And you remember when I brought my stepmother Judy and her experience in Alaska, which was so amazing. And I brought my stepmother because my father had died, and this was the first time she had ever done anything like this. And I said to her, Judy, we have to be on time. We cannot be late. We have to be on time. She said, okay, because Judy always ran late. And I said, I have to be there early. And so anyway, long story short, as we were walking, for whatever reason, and I'm always early for James, always, because I wanted to sit in the front, and always. And this time I got somebody would have to talk to me here, or the elevator didn't work, or somebody had to talk to me here. And every single time, now I'm looking at my watch and I'm panicked, and I was 20 minutes late walking in. I've never done that in my life. There were 2 seats left in the back. And so I said to Judy, like, oh my God, I walked in. I'll never forget your face, James. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And then he starts, he goes, all right, we're going to start with this exercise. He said, everybody choose a partner that you don't know, because I was going to just work with Judy, but she was sitting over here. She turned to this woman and I turned to this woman, and about an hour goes by, and James said, would anybody like to talk about their experience? And Judy, who was always kind of introverted on some level, goes, I do. And she starts telling the story, which is unbelievable. And the story was her husband, my dad, and the woman that she was talking to both died on August 1st, the same year.
Way. The same year?
Same year.
Better.
That's way better than that. That was like when did Dad die? 2012. August 1st, 2012. Okay, second thing was both men were named Lee.
No, that Lee is a name. Okay.
Both men were professional jazz trumpet players.
No way.
Yes. And both men played with Stan Kenton. And both men were friends.
Are
From
you?
outside.
Now, how can that be?
Okay,
And you
stop
know,
it.
my dad
Just
was like
stop
working
it.
that elevator and moving people in front of me because
Totally.
nothing gets in my way when I'm going to be with James. I'm like, Don will tell you, I run, I push the door open.
The
I am
spirit
not
world.
going to be late. It was spirit. And
It's-
that's what happened. Those two men on the other side got together and made this happen. In fact, when we're going, it's the same ship. I'll show everybody once I'm there the seats.
Right.
Okay, I thought about that this morning. I should
That's
show everybody those seats where I was
crazy.
sitting. And by the way, all the seats on the ship, when you do your we're in the
great.
big room, they're all wonderful seats. I just wanted to sit up front, but there you go. I'll
Okay,
show everybody the
that's-
seats.
that's
Is that a
crazy.
wild? So
Story.
those are the
can't.
kind of things that happen there.
Same birthday,
Wow.
Kelly, as well. They had the same birthdays.
Yeah, the same birthdays. It was really weird.
Oh
It
my
was so bizarre.
Well,
I'm still talking about it.
Remember, Kel, when you did that reading for the people right next to our cabin, and the boy always communicated with rainbows, and the next morning we wake up and out the window is a double rainbow.
Yeah, we
the
were
boy
working
was
with
the-
the family. It was
the
I had met
son
them
had
in
passed
Maui
on.
actually with
Oh.
you, James. We were in
Oh.
Maui.
Yeah.
And they went on the ship with us, I think, to Tahiti. It was Tahiti,
Yeah, it
right?
was Tahiti.
I did a
Uh-huh.
big reading for them. Oh, it was just unbelievable
Oh.
story. Yeah.
But and we had, and granted, okay, there's rainbows in Tahiti and stuff, but we hadn't seen any.
No, we hadn't seen
And
any.
the next morning, not just one, but it was a
it was a double.
rainbow.
It was a double. I have a
Oh
picture
my
of it. Yeah.
God, I still
And
have
they
chills.
they came knocking on our door.
I remember that. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Look at Pearlie. Hi, Pearlie.
Oh my goodness.
That's his new daughter.
That's Pearl, my daughter.
Oh,
Look
how
at the happy
cute.
face. She loves her dad. Oh, look.
Wow. You know, my OCD is going crazy right now.
You're what?
My OCD is going crazy right now.
She's looking in my face.
But it's so cute for you.
Yeah,
I know,
but
and I think about it too. I'm like, oh, she just licked her ass. Now she's cleaning my.
Oh, okay. All right. That put me over
I'm
the
in
edge.
the middle of that right now, Cheryl.
Oh.
yeah, but Shirley has the opposite. She's got this thing called cute aggression. Why don't you explain what that is,
Yeah,
Shirley?
oh my God. Well,
Acute
somebody,
aggression.
actually, one of my clients, I don't know how we were talking about it. She said, it's a real thing. And I went, really? So I looked it up. It's a real psychological thing where when you find something so cute, you just want to kill it because it's so cute. And I get that way with
so I had to
babies.
keep her away from my grandchildren.
Yes.
Did you get that way?
I
She
don't get that way with
does.
puppies. I don't care. But babies and little kids, their cheeks,
She's
I
like
just
this.
want to rip them
Yeah.
off the face.
So August now goes like this.
No, he does. No. And when August, oh my God.
I
'cause
never knew that about you.
It's a thing.
It's and with kids, I mean, my poor little girl, which I've told her I'd pay for therapy forever. She would go, sob, mom, sob, because I would kiss her cheeks. She's so cute. And little August, her grandson would say, Shirley, you're my cuddle buddy. And I'm like, oh, stop it. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh, it's hysterical. Everybody's got
I
their
never
thing.
knew that about you. Wow.
Oh yeah.
It's kids. It's little kids, babies, yeah. Dogs, you can have them all. I mean, I never hurt them, but
I'm a dog park person now. I have only friends in the dog park community.
Oh, God.
It's a thing. I'm just saying.
Oh, wait, I have to send you. I have a picture. Our dogs were our dogs of the month of February. I have to send this picture to you. Otis and Charlotte are the dogs of the month. They finally made it. 3 years. They're the dogs of the month. Cheryl.
Hilarious. Good for them.
Yay. Well, listen, everybody.
I'm going to hurt my dog. So thank you, Shirley.
Thank you, Shirley. And join us on February 25th. Please.
Yes,
So
9
welcome. I
a.m.
was so
It's gonna
happy
be
to be
great.
here.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Thanks, Shirley.
Bye.
Bye, James. Love you guys.
Bye.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kelly White.
That was great. Maybe we changed some lives.
And maybe opened up some minds.
Which way do I turn?
Right. I mean left.